This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, miniatures, and paints, discount prices at miniaturemarket.com.
Hey everybody, it's your old pal Rob. I've been talking a bit about a game that I've been very interested in, and I'm doing a lot of work, and I like bringing you guys something different. But when I introduced it, the first thing that happened, and you have to understand, and I understand because I'm kind of one of those guys, is I love Battletech. Okay. No two ways about it. When Alpha Strike came, there was a bit of a division between people. Oh, no, you got your hardcore Battletech people, and then you got your Battletech Alpha Strike people that are like, oh, well, this is easier, but, it's not that micromanagement that you have with Battletech, and, there's been division with that. And when I mentioned the word CAV, Strike Operations, the first thing I heard, no, I'm going to stick with Battletech. Oh, no, Battletech. You don't even know what the game's about, really. And I wanted to compare the three because they all have their place here. And for, you're never going to, just like a very deep embedded Games Workshop person, you are never going to convert a Battletech person to play anything else because they feel that they have to go to a confessional that Saturday and confess their sins if they ever try to play anything else. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But for some of you that are on the fence or don't know a lot and want to learn a little bit here, well, that's what this video is for, folks, okay? Because I'm going to talk a bit about Battletech because it has its place in the universe. I'm going to talk about Alpha Strike. It has its place in the universe. And they both do, and I like them both a lot. But right in between is this game CAV. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And I want to talk about all three and let you see that, something? It's kind of neat to have all three, which I do. Okay, why? Because there are just times I want to go hardcore Battletech. Nothing wrong with that. Love it. Okay? My mech. Got them all set. I'm watching my heat sinks. Oh, I'm taking too much arm damage on that arm. I'm going to have to turn him a little bit. Okay. And I'm going to have to concentrate firing with a different weapon. Maybe I can get a little support here. Okay, cool. Alpha Strike. Yeah, come on. Let's just go. Let's just throw some dice and see how it all plays out. Very cool, too. And then there's CAV, which is very quick, very quick like Alpha Strike, but has some complexity like Battletech with the abilities and everything that kind of fit for those moments when you just want to play something a little in between. I want to get a quick game in, but I don't want to beer and pretzel it too much either. Okay? And boom, that's where the sweet spot may be every once in a while. So I have CAV, and I want to talk about those differences. We're going to go down to the table. We're going to show you a few things. It isn't going to be extensive, but we're going to talk a little bit and get you kind of prepped up because I'm going to be doing some painting and some other things with all three of these games, believe it or not. Okay? But I really want you to see what I got planned for this CAV game because this just might be that thing that just might be outside the norm a little bit. It just might fit into your wheelhouse. So let's go down the table and check. So like I said up top, all these are fantastic games. And they all do something a little bit different. And I wanted to do a video where I really kind of showcase that because when I started talking about anything but, the original Battletech, either you're talking about Alpha Strike or CAV, you get this, well, no, I'm going to stick with Battletech. Battletech has its place. It is a beautiful game. Alpha Strike has its place, and so does CAV. And if you really enjoy mech games, I think out of these three, you can really find all the things that you really want at different times. And it's really fascinating how that works. Now, the traditional Battletech, which we're looking at right here, and this is the beginner box, I believe. You're going to get a bunch of different mechs and so forth and so on. And listen, if you're familiar with Battletech, if you're familiar with any kind of mech whatsoever, you are going to know exactly what I just pulled out. Okay, and what's going to happen is the thing with the original Battletech, it is very micromanagement heavy. And I think that's a great thing because there are just times when you want to get a couple mechs out there and you just want to go. All right. And you know, you are going to be firing and hitting different locations. And it's going to take a while to take down a mech. Another thing is, a big thing is that when these two meet on the battlefield, there is a lot of close combat. So there's going to be a lot of drop kicking, you know, that's why they call it death from above, punches and kicks and stuff like that. That works in Battletech very, very well. And again, you know, as we see here, you're going to be rolling distance, you're going to come up with a number, you're going to hit a location, depending on the weapon, that's how much damage you're going to do. Heat becomes a big thing, make sure that you track heat, and when you go over heat, there are certain damages and things that you are going to have happen. You could keep fighting and basically miss an entire arm. You're just going to miss that particular weapons that might be on that arm. Gunnery skill, piloting skill, that's important here also, because what you're also going to run into is that, you know, depending how well you are at piloting and gunnery, because your pilot is very important, that is going to determine your hit values in a lot of ways. This is just a very old school and very glorious system. And the people that are heavy Battletech players have followed it for years upon years upon years. Thank God that Tops and Catalyst games saved this from oblivion. And it is what it is today. A very well-oiled machine and does everything well. But they also came out with an easier version, okay? Because let's face it, you can sit here and you can play this game all day. Fun, micromanagement, but what about people that want to play quicker games? Well, when on the other side of this, we're going to be taking a look at Battletech Alpha Strike, which is the complete kind of opposite. So now we're going to talk about Alpha Strike. Alpha Strike uses the same type of mechs as Battletech. You know, that historic, beautiful, you know, 9 million different types of miniatures that you can use for Battletech can easily be converted over to Alpha Strike, because they do sell, like for instance here, clan invasion cards, in which where you will get the cards that you need to make this transformation happen. This is the movement is done with a ruler. What I failed to mention in the prior part here is Battletech is hex based, so everything is done by hexes. So your movement is done by counting the hexes, where this is done by inches. Okay, and you know, running, walking, and jumping are things that will give you modifiers. Here it's very simple. You have a target movement modifier for each unit, and you're going to have a card. Okay, so instead of having a printout of an entire mech, okay, where you can possibly shoot off arms and stuff like that, for this particular unit, if it was to be targeted by two different units and they were hits, well, it has an armor and then of course another blip that you start doing damage past the armor, so it has a protection of 1 and then you know, a health of 1. If you do 3 damage, well, this unit's taken off the table. That's how simple it is. You're going to come up with your modifiers depending on short, medium, and long range, kind of like Battletech, but this time these are modifiers are going to be dealing with your roll, your heat. You're going to generate heat when you want to do additional damage. The amount of movement that you can move. You can move very, very far with Alpha Strike. You can move sometimes up to 26 inches, particularly the Fire Moth Prime here. It's going to move 26 inches, and it is going to be in firing range right away. It's going to take its shots, and then it's going to get blown to oblivion off the face of the earth. Maybe that's just how it does. There are very little abilities that go into this. There are some, but they are not as heavy as when we're going to be talking about some of the other things. But each card is going to have different types of values as far as movement and range, how strong it can hit, and each card will be two-sided, so you can use a Fire Moth Prime or a Fire Moth A, for instance, with this dasher here. Up in the right-hand corner, something different, you are going to add up points. This is what the value of that particular unit is going to be. So, you know, if you're going to play a 250 point game, you would add up and add as many mechs that you can to hit that number and build a well-balanced force to go face your friend. This moves quick, it moves easy, and it has a very much different feel than from Battletech, because it's more of a beer and pretzels type of thing. And I hate that term, to be honest with you, but it really does give you a quick option. It's two extreme variances. You're talking about Battletech, which is very heavy and you know, beautiful in its own right for what it is. You really feel like you're piloting the mech and trying to do your best to survive and accomplish whatever mission you are. And here you are just, hey, let's get a bunch of mechs on the table, let's have some fun and enjoy ourselves. And there is not that heavy having to keep track of different stats and so forth and so on. You know, not a lot of math to this one. It's just, okay, figure it out, fire, and then move on to the next. And it really has its place in the Battletech universe because it really does work. And I always suggest that if you are going to start Alpha Strike, make sure that you get the Commander's Edition of Alpha Strike. This book here really just covers everything that you could possibly need and does a great job with it. And also make sure that you get the Clan Invasion cards, because that too will help you convert all the types of mechs that you may possibly have and have battle sheets for them all. So now we are going to look at, you have Battletech, very deep, very strategic, very record-keeping type of game, very heavy and very deep mech game. And then you have Alpha Strike on the other side here, but there's something in the middle. And that's where I want to show you guys that CAV has a place here too. All three of these games are just absolutely fantastic. So let's take a look at CAV, and we're going to talk a little bit about that and how it fits in between these two games, and you can get, you know, good worth out of this. Okay, so now we're going to talk about CAV Strike Operations from Talon Games. If you have Battletech here and you have Alpha Strike here, CAV is right here in the middle. And there's a reason for that. First of all, let's take a look. Here's your basic mech here. And, you know, you're going to be able to play with bigger mechs. Okay, which are funner to paint and so forth and so on, but that's neither here. As long as you can feel the experience of the different types of mechs that you can have in the game, it really enhances things. Now, you know, you can see the size difference a bit. Also in Battletech and Alpha Strike, you know, you can play with planes and infantry and stuff like that, and that makes the game a lot of fun. CAV does the same thing. But there's a little more engagement for infantry and air support. in Alpha Strike, it's kind of, you can use a bombardment cards more or less. You can also use units as well. The really neat thing and the big difference here, okay, this also plays off a card. You're going to have a particular unit and you are going to reference this card. Now, are you going to have 15 cards? If you have 15 of these out, you only need one because they all have the same exact type of specialization as far as movement, walkers, their armor, and so forth and so on. And their health isn't going to change any. So if you had one copy, you can just mark it with the dice and when it gets damaged. And it's neat how it gets damaged, because at 0, with 0 damage, you are at full health. But as you take damage on the damage track, you are going to lose certain things. You're going to lose movement. Your armor is going to drop down. Your damage controls, the missiles that you'll be able to fire, the rockets that you'll be able to fire. Okay, you'll be very limited, and eventually, when you pass this number, well, you just take the mech off the board because it's been destroyed. Now you can take an entire strike force and focus in on one mech and just take it completely out. Depending on its size and its strength. The thing that really differs here is the special abilities that you can get with each different type of mech, or CAV as we call it, combat armored vehicle. Okay, you're going to get different things that are going to help you as far as targeting. When you have a squad, you're going to be able to share certain type of targeting abilities and things like that. It's almost like sharing information with your next mech. Hey, we got this guy. You can indirect fire. Yes, you can do indirect fire. It is more like a bombardment phase, which is just very interesting. There are different types of things here, like Wizzo is a big thing. It's -1 to any direct fire, combat, or indirect strike point roll. So when you go to make your roll, if you determine what your roll is, because again, like Alpha Strike, this is done with a ruler in ranges, but each range has a base target modifier. So say 12 inches, then 24 inches, then 36 inches, you'll be like at 6, 7, 8, and then you're going to add in any kind of modifiers. Okay, and then you're going to roll your dice, and depending on the difference, there is a formula, and you're going to be looking at a sheet, and that's going to tell you how much damage that you are going to do to that particular unit, and you're going to keep track of that damage, and the mech is going to degrade. But there are so many different types of you can actually build your own mechs. It doesn't matter that you may have this particular model. You want to build your own mech? Well, you can build out your mech and point it out. Again, this is another game where you're going to be taking points and adding the points together for each, and then you're going to come up with a certain amount to play with. If you decide to play out for a 2,500 point game, you're going to be able to get the points and attribute them and build your squad. And your squad composition is really important as far as how you want to build and what you're looking to accomplish and what objective that you have. It's a lot. It's that in between. It's not that over bookkeeping, but it isn't that beer and pretzel feel. With all the different types of things that you have here that you can go by, with the different abilities, the Wizzo, the Smart, the Shock, the Rugged. And this is not a close combat game, okay? Because it really doesn't get to that point. It's not something, I mean, if you like punching and kicking with your mechs, well, then Battletech's for you, okay? And it'll work out great for you. If you like really strategic, okay, but you want to be able to get a game in under an hour, this is going to be for you. If you want to do something in 45 minutes and not have to really put much thought into it, then Alpha Strike is for you. And I don't mean I'm not trying to slam Alpha Strike by saying that is the simpler game, but CAV is in between these, and Alpha Strike has its place and it's beautiful for what it does. CAV is beautiful for what it does. Battletech is beautiful for what it does. And these three games, I think, are very, very prominent in the mech universe. And I think they all have a place in your collection. You don't have to be, it's okay to love Battletech, but it's okay to like CAV too. And it's okay to like Alpha Strike as well. I think they all fit into your universe perfectly and do different things and give you different advantages for different types of gameplay that might move you that particular evening. And I really like this CAV. I love Battletech. I always have my whole life. And I'm really liking Alpha Strike as well. So I'm very, very happy with everything that I have. And I wanted to break these things down before I really start covering CAV to show you the differences and everything when we start doing the rules videos, the paint videos, and everything like that. That, a lot of people go, I got Battletech, I don't care. Hold on there. I want you to take a look at this because this has its place in your collection. It really does. Let's go up top and talk more about it, and then we'll get on out of here. Well, there you have it, folks. Really, really three great, fantastic, and glorious games. I mean, that's the only way you can put it. They are just special in their own right. Battletech, the history, the beauty, the never waving greatness, and some of us have played it for 100 years. Okay, the original, still one of the best. Okay, Alpha Strike, the new kid in town. Okay, where it just says, okay, you got this, but guess what? You can also show these kids to get them maybe to that point. Ease them in with a lot of fun with the old Alpha Strike and how that works, and have that quick night where kids are really deep into it. And then there's just those in between times with CAV, bigger models, bigger, how it scales down, in damage, and you got to start thinking on how certain things go. Well, this one's damaged. Why don't we focus our strike team on that? Boom, take it right out, either indirect or direct damage, and needs a little bit more space and it's fun in its own right for what it does and how it does it. Each one has its place here and does a fantastic job and really belongs in the conversation when you talk mech games. And I love Battletech, I love Alpha Strike, and I love CAV. In the coming weeks, you're going to be seeing me covering CAV by doing some painting videos. Also, we're going to be doing some rules so you get the feel for the game. Okay, and then finally what I'm going to do is a live playthrough, and then we're going to do some things with Battletech as well. Okay, but I think these three games have their place here, folks. They do, and I think you should go over to Talent Games and check them out. And if you're unsure about Alpha Strike, go check Catalyst Games. There's plenty of material that you can learn there. And if you've never heard of Battletech, well, I don't know what planet you've been on, but you can also go to Catalyst Games and check them out as well. Three great, fantastic, unique mech games, and I think you'll love all three of them, especially if you're a big mech fan like I am. Until next time, it's your old pal Rob. We'll see you soon.